from where you at. I came here for vengeance, watch your back. No need to defend, I'm on attack. Sorry they can't reply, but I guarantee they had a blast. Pop, 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 I be on the next only, yeah, I am fresh to death.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Long Haul Mentality. I'm your host, as always, Nick Bagley, and this week I got my homie Connor on the podcast. Connor Kovacs. What's up, dude?
How's it going, man? How you doing?
Good, man. I think last time we spoke for longer than like a couple of messages through DMs was when I was there in 23 after my last show for the fishing trip.
Yeah, because that was after Texas. Because I was
Texas was in August, and then I came out in September to fish with my dad and my brother.
Yep. Damn, was that really 2 years ago now? Almost.
Dude, I literally thought the same thing. I was like, God, how has that been that long ago? But yeah, dude, it's been a minute. You been good? How's Tampa?
Tampa's getting warm. It's getting to be that 4-month time frame where you don't go outside.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Tampa's great, man. Summer and I have kind of built like a little pocket of just us here in town. Your thing. We have a little community we built behind us too. So it's
that's really nice.
But hey, I'll be out in Texas again. Texas Pro this year. I'll be doing that. Going there.
So I actually won't be in town for Texas Pro. My best friend's getting married that weekend. So I'm in.
Rude.
What?
That's extremely rude.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I actually had to turn somebody away for coaching because they wanted to do the Texas Pro. So it was like, well, that sucks. That lost an opportunity there, but it's okay. But it's my best friend's wedding and I'm in it, so it's like I can't exactly miss that. But I'm sure you'll be out before long. But yeah, Texas is getting to the same spot of like you kind of just tried to avoid going outside for a while. But it's not the heat. I don't have a problem with the heat, man. It's the humidity, and that's what you guys have the worst of. The humidity y'all have is unfathomable.
You're in Houston, though, right?
No, I'm in Dallas. My girlfriend's in Houston, and Houston sucks for that.
I couldn't remember which, because I remember you saying you drove back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston's much worse.
Way more humid.
Dallas is a dry heat.
Yeah, it's a significant difference. Like when it's a 4-hour drive from where I live, and by the time I get down to Houston, it's usually a 10-degree difference, and a lot of it is like a big difference in humidity. It's quite rough.
Yeah, you're bringing extra.
If it's a dry heat, I can handle hundreds. I don't mind that. But it's like if I can't take my shirt off and at least be comfortable in the sun, like it's miserable.
That's where we kind of figured it out. It was our first summer here in Tampa, and we went out. Probably might have been like end of June, middle of July. And we went out to our usual spot next to the pool. It's typical time of day. And I'm like, this isn't fun.
Everything feels moist.
I don't want to be out here. This doesn't feel good. I think it lasted like 11 minutes. And I was like, yeah, fuck this up.
Yeah. It's not even comfortable to sit out in the sun because everything just feels moist, like I said. But
you have the beach in the summer. No, we don't go there in the summer. That is for tourists. We go there between April and the beginning of June, and the beginning of November. That's our time.
Yep, exactly. Actually, I was in Tampa in December, and we actually went to the beach with my son. It was kind of not the best day ever, but it's nice to be able to go out to the beach in December, you know. But
that's always fun.
It's great to hear that you guys have kind of built that community and stuff, and like you've been really pushing the online stuff lately. And I'm finally 100% online and getting some good traction doing that now. It's weird just working from home, but it's definitely very nice. But definitely got to give you all some big props as to what you've done with the coaching over the last couple of years.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and everyone and their mother will tell you. I say it's her. She's the one who threw it. She's the one who pushed it. I just ended up liking the coaching side of things. So I owe a ton of that to her, but yeah, we're grateful for where we've landed and what we're growing here.
Yeah, completely agree, man. Like Brittany doesn't have anything to do with my business, but she keeps my head on straight and puts things into perspective for me a lot of times because I'll get in my head very quickly over stuff. But before we get into like the podcast conversation, what are your plans as far as competing right now? I know you've been posting some stuff more and getting back into the groove of things.
Knew that question was coming up, and this is the most inopportune time. I made a decision the other day that I'm going to do something this summer.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything on that because I for some reason, as I grew older, I need to keep my bodybuilding to myself because it's my thing for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the social media aspect of bodybuilding ruined it for me in the past like 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
With that being said, the goal is to step on stage and it'll end of this summer. And I'll say this as a little hint. I'll be stepping on stage with two of my best friends in the sport, and that's exactly why I'm doing the show. So if
Ooh.
someone can put those pieces together and name those two people, cool. You guys get a little tip to when I'm getting on stage.
I think I got at least one of them, but
I know you know one.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting that you bring up the social media thing, because I feel like a lot of what we're going to talk about today with the coaching land space is driven by the world that we live in, and like the thing that's both good and bad is like we can build a business by just like starting up a free thing, right? We can start up this free page that we get, and you can create a livable income off of just posting stuff on the internet, right? And from that aspect, it's amazing. And I've met a lot of really cool people through the internet, and made some really awesome connections over the years. And a good majority of my quote unquote friends I mostly speak to on Instagram, and that side of things is really cool. But I also think that social media is a double-edged sword, where it's also ruined the coaching and bodybuilding world in a lot of ways, right? Because you have to be polarizing, right? Like if you're going to get traction, and like traction in a regard of like hundreds of thousands of millions of views, like you have to either have some nutty physique, nutty strength, or you have to be polarizing on the internet. And it's like, I don't know about you, I'm not that guy. Like, I might talk harshly on something and might speak my mind on things, but I'm not the guy who's going to do things that get attention in that regard, and I think that is the root cause of so many of these things we're going to talk about with coaching.
I fully agree on that. And like, I don't know about you, but I go through very strong phases of not wanting any of the attention at all. And funny that you bring that up, today being a perfect day for it. Like, I'm today finding myself on the other side of like a 10-day, I don't want anything to do with Instagram.
Yeah, sure.
I think I posted maybe one thing last week where like my goal is to post like 1 or 2 times a day with certain types of content with the strategy or a strategy behind it to a degree. But I'm pretty sure for like last week, maybe 10 days, I posted like 1 or 2 times, because you go through phases of like, I don't want to be seen and interacted with from 100 different faces every single day. It's like, hey, yeah, there's business, which is a side of that aspect of Instagram, like you mentioned before, where someone can start something up from a blank page and start making
Right.
5 figures a month. But no, I find myself in like kind of that.
I do it all the time.
That paradigm where it's like, okay, I have to be attached to this for a specific reason. And then, well, there's a part of me that doesn't want anything to do with this.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the, for me, it's not even so much the attention and like keeping up with interaction on Instagram. It's more so like, I don't want to have to hunt and figure out what I want to post. It's like I've got so much content from my videographer that it's like half the time I don't even want to look at it. It's like, God, I got to dive through all this shit and try to find something to post. It's like, God, I want to do this right now.
I feel fresh air to hear that, because same. Like if I pulled up my Dropbox right now, my Dropbox would be screaming at you because there's too many fucking gigabytes of storage. And secondly, it's like, I'm pretty sure I did the math not too long ago, every month since last April or May, we've gotten anywhere from 160 to 240 clips every fucking month. And granted, some of those are 3 seconds long, some are 40, some are scripted, some are literally of me picking my ass. But like, yeah, that's a lot to sift through. And
100%.
And then as I'm looking for all that stuff that's pre-created, I'm still creating new shit.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's
a fucking ending.
It's like you have to have some kind of crazy system to like make sure that you list all this stuff out if you're going to be that perfect with it. And it's like, dude, I don't care that much. I'll just go through some things and be like, oh, I haven't looked at this in a while. Let me look through some of these videos and find something. And then at the same time, like I know that like most people watching our content aren't really like, oh, well, he posted that before, or he posted something similar before. But in my head, I'm like, well, I've already talked about that a million times. So like, why would I want to post it again? And it's like a lot of our job is very repetitive. It's the same stuff over and over, because it's like everybody has the same questions. It's like, it's always interesting to me because people are like, oh, this might be a dumb question. And then they ask it. And it's like, well, I've heard that 5 times today. Like it's not a dumb question. It's the same question that everybody has,
What's going on, everyone? Going to take a quick break from the podcast and check in with my main man, Everett, here. You can see the red light on behind me. That just means one thing. We're going to promote some sponsors right quick. There are no paid sponsors or paid ads for this podcast. So anyone who's watching, I appreciate your support. I appreciate your time. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Share this podcast with your friends. Leave a comment. It does help a ton. The other thing you can do is help support the sponsors that work with me. And you see I have my Labrada Pro Series line here. So we've got the hydro, glutamine, creatine, and EAAs with some new pre-workout on the way. So if you like the podcast, you support me, use my code BAGLEY10 at checkout and get yourself a discount. Let's get back to the episode.
Or better yet, when you just in a conversation say something and then the person's like, oh, I've never heard that, or I've never thought of it like that before. I'm like, I basically just told you the equivalency of the sky is blue.
Yeah, in my world.
Before. And those moments, though, those are the moments where I'm like, fuck, there really are still people out there who would listen to me describe that a carbohydrate is 4 calories.
Yeah, 100%, man.
That is 9 calories.
Yeah.
Someone out there that exists that's news to today.
Yeah, 100%. And like those are the people that we have to market to, you know, because it's like, I mean, of course, the people who are at the higher levels of this want to see the more intricate stuff, but they are fewer and far between. And if your niche is to try and aim at the best in the world, it's like, first off, that place is already filled with people who are probably better than you. And second, you're going to dwindle down how many people are actually going to pay you, you know? So it's like, you got to we have to get out of our own way a lot of times, right? Because it's like, I'll think that it's something that's really simple. And then I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, you blow their mind with like, oh, to weigh your peanut butter out, put it on the scale and pull the peanut butter out. And it's like, hey, I didn't realize that you didn't know that. Like it's normal to me, but to some people it's like, oh my God, you just blew my mind. Yeah. So it's like, the content creation game is such a crazy thing, you know. It's like I honestly don't like it. I do and I don't, you know.
1 sec on that note, I'm just going to steal that thought process because it does come up every time.
Yeah. And
I have a shared notepad with my videographer.
There you go. See, exactly. It's perfect, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's why I like I haven't been working with him lately because most of my content is just like clips here and there and then podcast stuff and client transformations. But whenever I am working with him like more consistently, I'll send stuff to him and be like, hey, I'm going to share this with you because if I try to hold on to it, I'm going to forget. And you're the creative. You do what you do and I'll do what I do. Like I need someone to do all that shit for me and I'll just talk and try to sound somewhat intelligent.
You sound exactly like I did last year when I started with my videographer.
Yeah.
Because I had the same fucking attitude. Eventually I learned the hard way that, maybe going in with at least like 80% of a shared and agreed upon plan works better for all parties involved.
For sure.
Like I said, there was some months we got like 300 clips.
Yeah.
So like inefficiency.
Too much. Yeah, for sure. But, you know, I think we both have a very similar mindset. And I think that's why we've gotten along so well over the years since we met. And I think that these conversations is what ultimately like breaks through to a lot of people. And like there's so much just stuff online, like not even just bullshit. There's just stuff everywhere. And it's really difficult for people to understand who the real experts are. Because if you just talk with authority, 80% of people who maybe know a little bit, but don't know everything are just going to believe you. They're going to take it at face value and go, that's real. Right. And a lot of times it's just complete garbage. Right. And especially in the landscape with people talking about nutrition, people talking about training, like the stuff that's floating out there right now that is getting a lot of attention and a lot of views, unfortunately is a lot of garbage because us just telling you like train hard, sleep well, eat well, get activity in, like it's not sexy. It's not stuff that sells. And yeah, exactly. It's very boring, but guess what? Bodybuilding's fucking boring. Like it is what it is. So you better be real comfortable with being bored. So I've been trying to focus on bringing more of my coaching friends on to have these conversations because it really helps people kind of understand what's real and what's bullshit, you know?
I mean, from that perspective, I think if we're going to focus on the bodybuilding side, Because lifestyle, I would say, one, I coach a lot more of those guys.
Yep,
And
same.
two, very different conversation.
100%.
For the bodybuilding side of things, I think there's a weird, not a weird, but I think over the past 5 years with social media and like the resurgence of bodybuilding to the masses, I think there's been like a divide. And we have people who are bodybuilding who are doing it to try it, who want to do it. Like maybe they have genuine good intentions behind it. They're not doing it because they are like their influencer fan talked them into it. They're doing it because they want to, but they don't fucking love it.
Right.
They didn't start it because they love it. They didn't practice it for 3 years before getting on doing anything first.
Mhm.
They didn't go through any of those initial steps. Then there's the other half where it's like, oh, I loved fucking lifting. It was really fun. I got good at it. I put on a little bit of muscle, and oh, cool, I can do a little bit more and get on stage and like do something with it.
Yeah.
There's that half, and then for that half, all of it's, even though everything boring, like you just said, we're just like, no, this is our day-to-day life because we enjoy that.
Mhm.
And then there's that other half where then there is the conversation of boring because
Right.
we're looking at this as a task as opposed to an enjoyable decision of their free will. And then they're the ones bored looking for that next magical thing they see on social media or the next cool dietary structure or whatever.
Yep.
There's a divide. And I think
100%.
it's growing more and more every year. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I really don't.
It just is what I mean. At the end of the day, the cream of the crop is going to rise, right? And the rest of it's going to go by the wayside, and they're never going to crack into a level that's like respected as far as coaching is concerned. And I got into lifting and stuff just because I just didn't want to be the small kid anymore. And I fell in love with it. And then in college, it turned into, well, maybe there's something I can do with this. And I found Men's Physique and figured out like to get on stage and stuff and fell in love with that process. And then found bodybuilding along the way. But it's like, I already enjoyed the lifting. I already enjoyed the working out and bettering myself and how it felt after the sessions and stuff. And now even post competition life, it's like I just went to the gym today and trained legs, and like I still do this stuff and I still train the same way, I still eat the same way. It looks a little bit different, but it's still the same stuff because I have attached so much value to what I get out of lifting and cardio and eating well and that kind of stuff because I like feeling good, I like looking good, right? It's like I have a 4-year-old now, and like every dad ever has always wanted to hear their kid go, "My dad could kick your dad's ass," and you want to actually be the dad that's like, "Yeah, that's probably true." Right?
Yeah.
I can't fight, but if I look like it, I'll fit the mold. Like that's fine. You know,
You want to be bad.
right? And to go along with what you said there, I think a lot of these guys who don't actually love it and are just doing it for the sake of doing it have also attached themselves to these very polarizing viewpoints, right? Because it is something that garners attention. Because I guarantee if they were doing what we're doing and talking about just the basics of bodybuilding, they wouldn't be getting the attention, which they would no longer be getting any type of like positive reinforcement out of it, right? Their positive reinforcement,
monetary gain.
right, exactly. Monetary gain and positive reinforcement. It's like if they didn't have that, if they didn't have this platform to talk on, would they even be doing this, right? And half the time when you see the content that's being pushed around, it's like a kid in his 20s or even younger than that. And it's like, who are you telling to do anything? You just started lifting a couple of fucking years ago. Like you are a baby in this, right? Like you've only been lifting for 3 years, and to you that sounds like a long time, but compare it to 15 that I've been doing it, I'm way further along than you are, right? It's like, and there's sure, you can talk to people who are even less than you, right? But like, why are you speaking with authority on these things just because you read a PubMed article? Like, you don't have any experience into what those things actually mean when you apply them to other individuals. So stop speaking with authority and just speak about what your experience right now is. This is what I've been doing. This is how it's working. This is what I'm changing. Like, those are the things to focus on. And then if people like it, maybe they pay you. You know, it's like, but nobody wants to do that because it's not the thing that gets them to make 10K next month, you know?
No. And I have such a dilemma with this conversation because even just in the past like 2 months, I've been confronted with enough individuals where the conversation is just like, hey, why are we doing this and not like this guy said on Instagram, or why this dose or why this here? And First, the answer is there's 1,000 ways to bodybuild. None of them are right and none of them are wrong. Because
Context.
all of which has happened at some point in the past 100 years that somebody has tried it and there was success at the end. And everyone just wants to have these arguments about who's right, where it's like, hey, just go do the damn thing. Shut the fuck up about who's right. I don't give a shit if you do 2
Right.
sets or you do 7 sets. Do it really well, get really strong at it, eat enough food, and then come back to the table. And in 6 months, if you gain 10 to 15 pounds, great. If not, maybe we need to rethink what you're doing.
Right.
But everyone just has that argument in that conversation. And it's frustrating for me as a coach because respectfully, I'm not going to take 2 hours out of my day to go back and forth on why optimization of, what the fuck was it? Optimization described by John Jewett's J3 University versus a higher volume approach is what he needs to be doing in his program. Do the hard stuff, get strong at it, get better at it, because I promise you, you will be doing the same shit a decade from now, just slightly different, but it's all going to be the same shit.
Right.
All
100%. And like, look, depending on the individual, optimizing is probably a good idea, right? But I don't think people who are in the first 5 years of their lifting career need to be trying to optimize anything. I think you need to go in and fucking work.
What define optimize?
Right.
Why is the higher volume, you do 22 working sets in a single session, God forbid, versus the 13 working sets you did 6 months ago. Yeah, there's going to be differing factors that go along with both, but did you work fucking hard in both of them? Yes. Could you have given more? No. Okay, you succeeded. It's a short conversation that everyone and their mother wants to dance around for hours on end, where genuinely there's no conclusion.
Yep.
Because you're going to be right, I'm going to be right, the next guy's going to be right. The only guy who's wrong is the one who sits there and says, this is the only way.
Yes, 100%.
That's the only person that's wrong.
And you know, I think it's a matter of like maturing in the coaching and fitness realm in general, because like I can look back on my early 20s and think that like I was pretty closed-minded at that time. And because what I had done worked, I thought that that's the way things needed to be, right? And even early in my training and coaching career, it was like, no, that this is what we have to do to get here. And then along the way, I realized, well, if it's not helping that person move forward, it's not what we need to do, right? And just because it says that it's optimal in this book or whatever doesn't mean that it's optimal for that individual with the context of their life, right? Like that doesn't necessarily fit into that mold. And if you try to fit a square peg in a round hole, it's not going to work great, right?
Saying that a lot lately. I have been saying that a ton. I say that mostly on I wouldn't even call them a sales call with my clients, because my intimidation calls with my clients. I'm serious. I joke, but I'm serious, because I do try and lay it out very fucking black and white. And I'm like, look, if you like what you hear at the end of this and you're not intimidated by it, great, you'll find success here. But if what I say intimidates you, that's fine. You're not ready for it. You're not ready to make that change for yourself. And that's what I say all the time. I'm like, we're not going to fit a square peg in a round hole. You're not going to sit on the other side of this call with me and say, hey, I just want to lose 5 pounds. That's not a goal that I take your money for. It's not, because that's a goal that we achieve in 1 month. And then what, you think you're satisfied, but you're still 70 pounds overweight. Your goal orientation and expectation do not align with coaching. That's fine. No square peg, no round hole. You go find some motivation. I've had people go away for a week. I'm like, hey, come back in a week. I want you to journal and come back with a goal. If you come back with a goal, we'll start today.
Yep.
Works out.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's just like I get it. The people are trying to like create a name for themselves, but it's like, look, you need to understand that anyone that you look up to that has built something that is legitimately founded in a solid foundation did this for a long period of time, right? The rarity of the individual who creates a very successful thing in the first couple of years they start doing it is very few and far between, you know, and this over obsession with what you could call the extras of bodybuilding, while not doing the foundational stuff, is going to slow down your progress. You are going to limit what you're able to do in those formative years that allows you to build a massive foundation. You know, like you can't you can't skip all the basics and go to the fancy stuff and think you're going to build a physique that is worth a damn, right? That anybody, unless you're just a genetic freak, right? If you are, you're probably not listening to this because you probably already have it all together, right? You probably think you do anyways, but it's the people who are willing to put aside what they know and try to figure things out in a better fashion are the ones who are going to go further, right? It's a conversation that last week I recorded with Chris Fine, and we talked about this, and it's as simple as the ones who want it will do it. The ones who talk about it won't, right? And look, there's nothing wrong with speaking into the world what you think that you want to do and like what your goals are and stuff. But I think too many people are just trying to convince themselves that what they're saying they want is what they actually want, right? Because their words and their actions don't align, right? And they don't do the things that they are saying is the ultimate goal, right? Like they're not aligning, and you're trying to convince yourself, and that's why you talk so much. That's why you say all these things you're going to do, and then there's no follow through on it. And then 6 months from now, guess what? You're still talking, and you still haven't made results.
Yeah, and I would say that's also social media attributed to, because now everyone has this in pocket view, a window into what better life looks like, and they're following your influencer, your favorite person, your favorite fit model, whatever, and you just want to be like that, or you want to be better like that, or you're just a fan of that, and you think you want that for yourself, and then you're going to talk about it, but then you're not going to execute. You're not going to take that next step of actually taking action.
Mm-hmm.
I think the social media thing feeds into that a bit, and I think that's also a day and age type of deal.
Yeah.
Much easier to avoid responsibility when you can bury yourself in your phone.
Yeah, dude. And there's a lot of people just lying to themselves, just straight out lying to themselves, right? And like I said this in my channel on Instagram this morning, because I had a conversation with a guy over the weekend, and he was in this GASP community group that they created, and his message was, hey, I'm doing this. I'm trying to lose weight and doing this, that, and the other. But, I really suck at dieting and I suck at cardio. And like, I'm asking him questions. And then as I'm asking these questions, I realize what he's actually trying to say is it's not that he sucks at it, because sucking at something implies that you are putting effort into it. He's just plain out not doing it. Right. And those aren't the same thing. So he has made it up in his mind that he's not good at it. Therefore, don't try. Right. And it's like, well, you are lying to yourself about what you are actually doing and what you actually are putting effort towards, because you're telling yourself you suck at it when you're saying you suck at cardio, and then you're telling me you're not doing it at all. It's like, well, that's a discipline problem. That's not that you suck at it. Like, sucking at cardio means that you struggle to get through 10 minutes of it, right?
Yeah.
That is sucking at cardio. That's pretty terrible. If you can't get through 10 minutes of like walking on a treadmill, we've got a problem. And yes, you suck at it. But if you're just flat out telling me that you're not doing it, well, that's just you being a lazy shit. That's you not being accountable to yourself and lying and hiding behind the fact that you say you suck at it, right? And that was my kind of thought process to it is like, stop lying and telling yourself a story that's a made up thing in your head.
Oh, I never thought about it like that, but that hits home. Like, that's perfect, man.
I hadn't thought about it that way either until that conversation,
Yeah, you don't look at it from that different lens, because that's genuinely like a deeper psychological view on how that works.
Yeah.
And it's so freaking true, because you're right. That is typically what is said most frequently is, I see this. And it's funny too, now I think about that a little bit harder. Like, I train 2 in-person people, and the one will say the same thing about movements that I know he just doesn't want to try hard on.
Yep.
And I usually call him out on it. I'm like, that's great. We're going to get better at it. Like, you think it's okay? We're going to practice. So
right.
In person, I've handled it that way. But no, that's a really good thought process on how that can be approached.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one. That'll be a good clip for Instagram there. So
that's very true.
Yeah, but I don't know about you, but lately the biggest thing that's been coming across my feed as far as these weird things that we see with people getting into the landscape of coaching is this hard focus on, like, they've now taken the low volume approach and gone to the absolute fucking extreme with it, right? Where it's like, don't do more than 1 set of 6 reps. Like, have you seen this shit?
Okay, so I have definitely dabbled a little bit onto I'm going to call it the fatigue management side of the training conversation. But after the first like 2 or 3 videos I saw of something similar, I started hitting not interested.
Yeah.
That's the shit that makes me want to fucking like blow my lid.
Yeah, 100%, man.
It makes me want to fucking go crazy because, man, it must have been when was AJ Sims coaching Logan Franklin and Hassan?
Bruh, I don't know.
Probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a bit, a couple of years.
He was more into the coaching scene, and he was talking about like, you're not seeing progress in the gym. You probably need to fucking do more.
Yep.
You probably didn't do enough. And I'm thinking back then, he was saying some like crazy shit. Like there was like 30 working sets in a session. I'm like, okay, you're a bit excessive. But even to that point, I'm like, how have we come so far?
Yeah.
How have we come so far when this man lived with Jay Cutler during his Olympic reps? Knows better than fucking anybody what it looks like to seriously build muscle.
Yep.
Now we got the other side of the conversation where it's like, yo, you weigh 150 pounds. Your 6 reps of 20 pounds doesn't matter to anybody.
Right.
Why is this the conversation?
And you haven't done enough repetitions and sets to even be able to know what it means to take one set of 6 reps to where the fuck it needs to go. Plain and simple.
Or better yet, how do you come to the conclusion that the weight you selected is correct for your 6 reps to failure?
Right.
Do you know? Because that'd probably take me like 2 to 4 weeks to put together on a machine. But like, I've been using a hack squat for the past 6 years relentlessly.
Yeah.
Across many different rep ranges. I know what to pick. The majority, that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. And like it whatever happened to the point being to fatigue yourself, you know, like especially in my early years, like I remember trying to find the most gnarly shit that I could do on bodybuilding.com. Like I remember Chris Gethin had these training programs. Yeah, dude, I did all of his stuff back in the day. He was like one of the first guys that really got me into this. And like the fact that like I've gotten to talk to Chris a number of times and like communicate with him a lot now is like, that's fucking cool, man. Like you're the guy that got me into this. And like your programming was some of the first programming I ever did. And like, I remember vividly one of his, it wasn't the heavy muscle builder. It was one of the other ones, but it was like 4 sessions in a week. And like one of the sessions for legs was the leg press only. And you did like a set of 10, a set of 20, a set of 30, a set of 40, a set of 50, going up in weight and then back down the chain, right? Still going up in weight. And like that, I remember doing those sessions and feeling like I was going to die. And then
the one I remember, 1,000 rep leg day.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
I think it was 1,012. I'm fairly certain, but it was 1,000 rep leg day. And me and my buddy Brady, man, it was a sophomore year at college. We were home for whatever break, and we were just in my hometown gym, 9 p.m. just him and I doing sets of 100 fucking lunges down and back.
Yeah, and but now it's like all these young kids are so bought into this idea of like don't fatigue yourself that it's like, well, what are we doing here? This doesn't make any sense. It's like, what happened to just having some fun with beating the shit out of yourself and realizing, oh, okay, that's probably my limit, you know? And like, how can you even know what that failure is when you've never figured out what too much looks like, right? And like, some of these guys who are talking about this stuff probably need to have a little too much in their training routine, right? Like
more than them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if you're going to build a physique that is worth a damn, again, you're going to have to do some shit that's probably not written in the textbook, right? Like none of these textbooks that talk about like guys who were able to get to the size of an Olympian have any context to that. Like there's no like, it's not like these studies are done on these Olympians. It's not like studies are done on these pro bodybuilders. It's like, if we are looking to get to a level that is for most people completely unattainable, we're probably going to have to do some pretty stupid shit to get there as far as training is concerned and even nutrition is concerned, right? And like you got to push the envelope with this stuff. It is an extreme sport, right? Like
It is a very intense pageant.
Yes, exactly. What a great way. There's the name of the podcast. Intense pageantry. But it's like, if you are going to do that, and that's what all these guys are talking about, is like building as much muscle as possible. It's like, you're going to have to learn that, like, you got to do some dumb shit sometimes to understand that, okay, that was dumb shit. How do I make that dumb shit not dumb shit? Like, plain and simple.
How to take the dumb shit. You don't even have to not make it dumb. Just go apply it smarter. Like, it can still be the same dumb shit. You can even wrap it in fucking gold if you want. But I think we can look at this too. If you were kind of reverse engineer the conversation, the one person that comes to mind is Nick Walker. How he's been using the RP Strength app through the past whatever years, and his training style. I would say that more so closely resembles like your fatigue management, your strict types of sets, and how that intensity profile is supposed to look. He didn't build his physique on that muscle. And if you look at just about every notable Olympian and every previous Olympia winner, none of their physiques were built on that. And even if, like Nick, they transition into that differing approach, which is going to be a bit more tactical, it's tactical to refine. It's tactical to make better, not bigger.
100%.
Everything that was utilized to make bigger was on the contrary to what the entire social media argument is.
Yep, 100%.
So how is it not the most glaring, obvious lie, or not lie, fallacy in the industry that, hey, we have this decades worth of proof who's now being awarded $750,000 at the Arnold that says this approach, not the one.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Ignore the gigantic men with muscle.
Right.
They don't know anything.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. That argument fucking drives me insane. And like, the thing there is like, when we start to, like, I think fatigue management is very, very important. It definitely is. Right. And like, it's not to say that we just throw it out the window and we do a bunch of dumb shit and have you walking around like feeling like garbage all the time. No, that's not the point. But in the context of someone like Nick Walker, he got to a point where, if he continued to do the stuff that he did previously, his strength was going to be so outrageous at his body weight that he is going to develop so much fatigue that he can't continue to do his job. So now, if that's the case, cool. Let's get more specific and start to really mitigate how much fatigue you load. Because look, the guy's in his offseason is 300 something pounds. That in and of itself is fatigue. You don't know what that's like when you're 160 fucking pounds. I'm sorry.
The risk reward ratio is entirely different.
Exactly.
Like, shit, even put it for our perspectives. What, you got to like 245, 260 at one point? Was it?
Excuse you, I got to 265.
I just remember you're a little shorter than me. I don't remember where you landed. I only got up to like 255 ever. And like, even with that, my 200-pound clients that I train with, they can do more reps and more sets than me, even with a 50-pound difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get to the end of a workout, I'm like, I'm fucking smoked. And they're like, you're done? I'm like, I can't walk. What do you mean, are you done?
Right.
That's a 50-pound difference.
Yep.
Now, for the kids on Instagram versus a Nick Walker, that's 120, 150-pound difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
And that's up.
Nobody will ever understand what that mind to muscle contraction sensation pump feels like, other than Nick.
Yeah,
or other than Big Ramy. I remember that story Phil Viz told. He trained Big Ramy at Powerhouse in New Haven. He was like, after one set of one plate on the
quads just blown up.
Yeah, he was like, his quads looked like they were about to pop.
Yep.
And it's baby weight.
Yep.
Because you get that much muscle and that much experience behind you, it becomes terribly painful.
Right. And one of the best examples that I've literally watched firsthand is Hunter. Right. And like, I met Hunter 2021 when he was like going to his first or second Olympia and like really starting to like build his name as a high level pro, not just Lee Labrada's son. And the dude his sessions were absolutely mind-boggling brutal, just crazy hard rack pulls with bands and like all these crazy things that he was doing, and like the like literally gun to the head mentality, right? And then he started to realize like this isn't gonna work forever, right? It got me to where I am now, but if I want to continue and improve the areas, his back, that he needed to improve, he's going to have to take a different approach, which is now that little bit more focused mentality of like really hard contractions, pulling the weight back a little bit higher in rep, that kind of thing. It's like, and now we see the fruits of that labor. We've seen his back go from being relatively moderate, mediocre to really fucking solid, like a really good back, right? Because he made those changes. But again, in his formative years of building himself into this behemoth that he is now, he did the crazy shit. And
Yes.
like the kid online that goes, well, like just because you have muscle doesn't mean you know more than me. And it's like, okay, sure. Like you might be more educated than me, but I guarantee I have more experience than you. And my experience shows a lot more than what you got right now, bud.
That's where I think people are getting lost in the argument. They
Mhm.
attribute muscle to intelligence when it's like, no, sir. What you're skipping over is that my appearance of muscle is an outward factual presentation of experience.
Mhm.
It's the experience that allows me to say, hey, I know better than you in this situation. Not to say that I know more, but I know better than you in this situation. And yeah, this is going to work better, not this. And the experience factor is where I love the old adage. I always want the guy that says this usually works versus the guy that says, oh, this works every time. Because the guy who says this usually works is the one who's tried it before and knows what happens and knows how to fix it if it doesn't work.
100%.
The guy who says, oh, this works every time, he's never done it before. If that shit fails, you're fucked.
Yep. 100%.
So that I think is what people just don't allow themselves to calm down and back up and think for a second. And I'm guilty as shit of that on social media. Like I'll say something stupid. I'm like, wow, I have to say this really, really ridiculous thing. I'm like, wait, I don't have to say that. I don't.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I've said this on another podcast, but the craziest version of this is now these videos that go around where they like clip out like Lee Priest training or Kevin Levrone training, and they're doing some crazy like the video, the one that comes to mind first is like videos of Kevin Levrone doing dumbbell curls, and he's like putting his whole body into it and all this stuff. And people are like, he's not training optimally. He could have been so much better if he did this, that, and the other. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You do realize that guy got second at the Olympia, right? Like, what are you talking about?
You are on a side of TikTok I hope I never venture into. I need to actually, after this conversation, I need to throw out my laptop and burn it. Because my computer's going to talk to my phone, and this is all I'm going to see on TikTok now.
The funny thing is like how I end up getting it secondhand through people who are telling them they're idiots. Like that's more what I see than anything else. But it's that kind of stuff, man. And it's so outrageous that these people want to nitpick stuff of like videos of Jay Cutler and Lee Priest and be like, well, he wasn't training optimally. It's like, do you see how big he is?
Just goes it goes back to your first point. There's a platform where everyone can make money now.
Yep, 100%, man. And
people are making money on 5 million views of you saying some stupid shit about one of the best bodybuilders to ever live.
Yep.
You just don't see it as often in other sports, because in other sports, if someone was like, if some random schmo was on the internet talking about Tom Brady, like, right. Tom Brady, like, and nitpicked like a throw and said some stupid shit, that person would be dragged through the mud until they want to hide forever. But our little pocket of community, we don't have that assertive existence of, hey, he's one of the best ever to do it. The whole community now is going to gang up on you and tell you to shut the fuck up. We don't get that luxury.
I think we're getting more of it. I think we're seeing a lot of that pushback, but it's like that's just the nature of social media. Is like the stuff that gets a negative response tends to be the stuff that people pick up on the most, right? And like by us giving that stuff time of day, by even reacting to it and making a video on it, still drives more views to it in the first place. So it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? And like all of the stuff that we just talked about aside, like, yes, we're dealing with a lot of stupid a lot of stupid in bodybuilding, but we're also seeing just a massive flourish of the sport, right? And like that we have both things going on right now. And like I hate the argument when I hear like older bodybuilders talking about, well, the guys these days don't train hard and that's why they're not coming in shape and this, that, and the other. And it's like, hey, shut up. Unless you have been in the gym with these guys and can 100% have seen them train across weeks of a time or multiple different sessions, you can't say a damn thing about how hard they train. And at the same time, you're cherry picking your best look ever, right? Because I guarantee we go through and we look at some of your stage shots. There's probably some you missed. You probably weren't in the best shape possible. You probably
more than some, because those guys back in that day competed a lot more.
Exactly.
A lot more opportunity to be off.
But we're seeing some of the best physiques ever, and they're not even coming to just the Olympia. Like we just had Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago and saw one of the closest bodybuilding battles that we have seen in a long time at a first year open show at the Pittsburgh. And like it's such a cool thing to see, right? But it's sad to also see that people want to like downplay it so much. And it's like, why are you downplaying these athletes who busted their ass to get to where they are? It doesn't matter how they train. It doesn't matter how they diet. They did it and they got to a level where they were able to win this show or push somebody who won the show, right?
I think the older generation with that voice that does still tend to speak down on the new guys, I think they're going to fade out faster.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that generation isn't social media savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who are more than likely going to be pushed out pretty quickly by the younger generation of, like, let's just face it, 20-something, younger 20-year-olds who are just on their phones so much more often. So I feel like they'll get pushed out a good bit in that direction. And then the older generation who's a little bit more savvy, who's kept up with the sport enough to understand that, hey, no reason to talk shit on the newer guys, they'll stick around and still be able to put in a good voice to the sport that has like some seniority value, authority value to it.
I think someone that's a great example of that right now is Ian Valliere, right? Because like the dude has done everything that you can in bodybuilding aside from like winning some of the biggest shows in the world, right? Like he's been one of the best bodybuilders in the world, and he's of the generation of people who uses social media a lot, right? Like it's always funny whenever there's like some controversial post put up on Bodybuilders Without Borders or whatever, and then you see Ian comment, and it's always something that just like eviscerates the person in a very short fucking thing, and it's like, well, yeah, there's your answer, like that. Ian is very rational. Like he might be polarizing with some of the things he says, but usually he's pretty fucking right? And like I think that you're right that's kind of stuff will get pushed out. But to touch more on like the landscape of bodybuilding right now, let's talk a little bit about some shows, and then we'll finish up here. What was your thoughts of Pittsburgh?
Man, the same thing as everyone else. I had Nick winning it.
I did too.
Now the only thing I vocalized that I disliked about the show was that they had them come back out for a tie-breaking round like 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes after they had completed their final pose down, final comparison. Now, if someone was backstage and said, hey, you guys are going to have to go again, do what you guys got to need to do, what you got to do, get back up there, that's cool. But if that person didn't exist, and then Derek and Nick were just like surprised with, oh, fuck, I have to get back up there. That's 30 minutes where those guys cooled down, lost pump, and flattened out.
Yep.
And personally, I saw that with Nick in that round. And I think that's partially where he lost it. He came back to life after a little bit of posing, but I think that might have been the issue. I don't think that's fucking fair. I don't. That was my qualm with it. Aside from that, Nick won. Terrence looked freaking incredible.
Yes.
Josema, however you say his name, absolutely peeled to a disgusting level.
Yes, that's exactly the word I was going to say. Disgusting.
And the fact that he was still able to move and hold his composure and pose so hard on stage, I'm like, bro, you have the strongest amount of willpower if you stand up there and just stay standing with that low body fat percentage.
100%.
It's insane to me.
Yeah, it's insane. And like it was the thing is like if Nick and Derek weren't as good as they are, the show wouldn't have been that close, right? Like, and that's what makes this stuff fun. Like these shows where it's like neck and neck, like it's way more fun to watch that and be like waiting on the seat of your pants to see like who's gonna win. It's not as fun when you're like, oh well, yeah, obviously that guy won, you know, and
True.
you know, like with bodybuilding being a subjective sport, it's like it's always going to come down to like what the judges end up liking for the day, you know, and like that day Shape took it, you know, and that just is what it is, because that's what Tyler said was kind of the ultimate breaker, because it's like you can go through every single pose and make an argument for just about either one of them.
Yep.
And that's fucking awesome.
Now here's the thing that makes me curious, and this is my argument going into Pittsburgh, that if all three guys were 100% Nick, Martin, Derek, my argument was that it would go to either Derek or Martin, because they're the closest in comparable shape, size, symmetry, the look. And then Nick just checks every fucking box known to man for perfect bodybuilding. So now, obviously, Martin came off. I feel terrible for him. Man, I was excited for that show, but he's got a good head on his shoulders now. And
I was voting on him to win.
Same. I had a little bit of a sneak peek at some shit, and I'm like, I have never seen you that flat before. Those are my exact fucking words. But nonetheless, he's got a good head on his shoulders now. I know he'll come back better from that, and they learned. But if he was 100%, do you think he would have been there with Derek and Nick would have been in third, or do you think it would have been a 3-man?
Man, it's fucking tough, dude. Because like if we look at the New York it was New York, right, where Nick beat Martin the last time. Like that was a really good Martin, right? And he pushed Nick. And now that wasn't the best version of Nick we've seen, right? I think even Nick admits to that. But it would have been interesting, right? Because like I know Martin was coming in a little bit bigger, and like I heard some people talking on other podcasts about like, oh, he's trying to play the game of being bigger and this, that, and it's like, no. I don't think he's trying to play a game of being bigger. The dude's just been fucking morphing, right? Like nobody says that about Samson. Nobody goes, well, he's coming this much bigger, like, oh, he's gonna be off. It's like, well, no, his body is just doing that, right? Because look, Marty's been in diet for like 3/4 of the last 2 years and still making progress and still getting bigger, right?
And like, he has the best training environment, the highest training intensity of pretty much anyone I know in the IFBB, and then similarly a great training partner.
Right. And I think if we want to compare his physique to somebody, like I think he is the closest thing to a white Phil Heath that we can get, right? From a standpoint of like how bubbly and round his physique looks. And if they can now match that bubbliness with the dryness, I think he's going to be somebody that people got to watch the fuck out for, right?
Oh,
and like
100% in contention for Olympia.
100%. And I
think
that
argument last year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the fourth place that he got at this Olympia this last year, they nailed it. And if he can be a little bit bigger and a little bit tighter than that, I think he can climb into that top like 1 to 2 spot, you know.
If they can coast him and peak him into the Olympia the same way they peaked him last year, even if it's not 10 pounds up, but it's like 6 pounds up, which I know for a fact he's put on.
Right.
That is a very dangerous Martin to have on stage with the top 5.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree.
6 pounds on that physique in the right spots, like, and his legs got 2 and 2 of them at the very least. At the very least, that's a very insane top 5, top 6.
And I think Nick getting to do, and obviously his goal was to win Pittsburgh, but I think him getting to do Pittsburgh and New York honestly ended up being a very dangerous situation for other people, because they had a really dry, peeled down look at Pittsburgh, right? And then they had a little bit more full, lasting like look at New York. Now, the thing that I think they need to do is find the middle ground between the two, because to me, and I talked to some other people about this as well, is like because Nick went fuller, that required more food. More food meant his stomach was a little bit more distended, and there was a little bit of you can see it in the comparisons of Pittsburgh to New York, where there's just a little bit more distension. And the main thing that could absolutely ruin Nick's placing is his core, 100%. that is a make or break place for him, right? And if it's not blocked the fuck out and flat, it throws off the look quite a bit, right? Because he doesn't have the aesthetic physique like a Derek or a Martin, right? He's got that mass monster look, but you got to have that mass monster look with a flat stomach. You're not going to get away with having a distended stomach anymore. And I think that now that they've seen those two things, they can get the fucking crazy look at the Olympia, and I think people need to be on notice.
The
Really
only
do.
thing I was going to say to that effect is that the only way Nick can play the size game is if he has his waist tight.
100%.
If he doesn't, then his size doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is, Nick doesn't have to play the size game. Nick is the size game.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, though. Like, he's going to walk on stage the biggest motherfucker up there no matter what. But
Right.
if you're the biggest motherfucker up there with a gut,
Right.
it doesn't really matter how big you are.
Exactly. And now,
Yep.
and you brought up classic, so it's a good transition because I said the same thing about Terrence, not the stomach, but same thing as far as like him getting to do Pittsburgh and New York now gives him a great goal to aim for, because at Pittsburgh he was way drier, but because of the drier and tighter look, he lost some of the pop to his physique that gives him the because he is a shorter individual. If he loses that pop, his whole stature looks small, right? So at New York, he was way more full, and like the physique just kind of billowed. Like when he brought his lats out, it's like this thing just popping off his rib cage, right? And same thing with his quads just exploding full. So if they can get that combination of like the dry and the full look, I think he's another person that people got to watch the fuck out for. And I think that fight between him and Mike will be a good one.
Oh, it'll be a good one. Especially
100%.
their statures are so very similar.
Yep, exactly. And like,
I think that'll be really interesting now that you bring up Mike. I didn't think about this before. That's going to be super interesting between those two.
agreed.
Because similar stature, similar structure-ish, very different conditioning.
Yep.
Granted, you obviously have the skin tone factor, but like from the front, Mike's chest and shoulders, they don't get striated and dug out and like crisp.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence does everywhere.
Yes.
Fucking everywhere. But the other thought I had too, and this obviously is just a drawn out complication, you peak to the judge to a degree. Like we know Tyler likes a tighter, crisper.
Mm-hmm.
We know Phil likes fucking bodybuilders to be bodybuilders and be big. Not Phil, sorry, Steve. Likes bodybuilders to be big. At the Olympia, who do you play to?
It's just a matter of them standing next to each other, you know. And the thing that I said is like, look, Terrence pushed one of the best classic competitor we've ever seen, a taller, bigger statured individual, right? And now
He compared to Chris.
yeah, and he pushed him. And like in my mind, I liked Terrence that year, right? Terrence it has always been the physique that I've been drawn to in the classic division that I thought could be the Mr. Olympia, you know. And like now there's not that like overly powering dominant figure, right? And Terrence has already pushed that guy. And like I think Mike is an amazing classic physique competitor, but the thing that's going around right now, and a good comparison to Jose Ma, is like people look at Mike and go, that's not a classic competitor, he's a bodybuilder, which I don't agree with that side of things. But there's that argument of like he should just be a bodybuilder because he's so big, right? And I think that's also why Terrence got the nod over Jose at this show, right? Because even though he had all the condition in the world and has one of the craziest backs in classic that we've seen and really good structure, or like really good upper body, the physique itself looks more like a bodybuilder who's just staying in classic, right? Yep. And doesn't have the same type of flow that Terrence does, right? His legs being a little bit smaller gives him more of an upside down triangle than it does an X frame. His posing doesn't help him with that either, but it's like you're not going to beat a guy who has that perfect structure in every single pose that he hits, which is Terrence, right? And I think that's where Mike and Terrence are going to be a really good battle, because they both have that really good aesthetic. It's just two different spectrums of physique, like one that I think fits a little bit more of the classic physique criteria, and one that's like billowing muscle, right? Like that's kind of how I put those two people in categories.
I agree completely with that, because I think where people are getting confused about, or just, I wouldn't say confused, where people just don't have an experienced enough eye for the division or the sport, is where they're getting hung up on saying Mike is more of an open bodybuilder type of guy. Shape-wise, everything, he's classic. But
100%.
it's understandable because if you look at the insertions of his shoulders into his arms, into his chest, and then the very large quad sweep, yeah, I get why you might think he'd be better as a 212 guy. But if you like say somebody's AI generated, like, hey, just make his shoulders a little sharper, make his chest a little sharper, not like that big swoop that he gets through there. Just increase the sharpness a little bit on the angles of his body. It's like, no, that's a classic competitor.
Yep.
It's
100%.
just genetically, that's how his muscle bellies sit. So for most average watchers, they're going to be like, oh, it's not classic. Well, no, it is. It's just his genetics look that way.
Yeah. And if he can come in a good bit tighter than he did at the Arnold, that guy's dangerous. So
Okay.
it's like, it's going to be really cool to watch Classic because it's vacant. Like that title is open.
Who's
And
third? Who's third? Because you got 4 6-foot tall guys in line for that. Because you got Urs, Ramon. I'm going to put Josema up there. And then, sure, let's just speculate for entertainment and say Wesley. No, he's not competing this year.
Yeah,
Most of the other top 10 are tall.
I'm going to start drawing a blank on the top guys right now, just
Like,
because you put me on the spot.
the 3, 4, and 5 are all tall guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man, and it's just like the Open right now. Classic is in the same spot where like one guy comes off and somebody else could leapfrog him, you know, and like that's just the reality of what the sport is right now. And again, why I think that we are just in a golden age of bodybuilding right now, because it's like, look, it comes down to who's best on that day, plain and simple, right? It's like there's not a dominant figure in any of the categories right now because it can change so much if one guy is even a percentage off.
Do you miss the reigning Mr. Olympia year over year setup?
Not necessarily. I mean, I was a Phil Heath fan, and it was always just mind-boggling to see his physique on stage. But like, I think there's something exciting about like it not being it's a Phil Heath show, right? It's a Samson Dauda show. There's something exciting about like there's some real shit at stake here, right? Because like it's not guaranteed that Samson's going to repeat, right? Like Derek could take it, Hadi could take it, Nick could take it. There's a lot of people that are on that list that are in the top 6 that if anybody up at the top slips up even slightly, could overtake them, right? And like you could even have a new guy pop into the scene that like if they nail it right, like look, we saw Marty go from like losing to Andrew to being right there next to him at the Olympia, right?
Yeah,
and
beating him.
Because what Andrew was 5th. Yeah. So he beat Andrew now. Right. So it's like that can happen very easily if anybody comes off. And like that to me is way more exciting than like, all right, well, that guy's got first. Who's coming next? You know, it just makes it like, I want to see.
I would enjoy like a 4-year spurt of somebody who's like, good luck, guys, catch him. Like,
Yeah.
Because I feel like that little bit of a rat race is kind of fun where there's a guy where you know that he's stepping up on stage next year, more than likely going to win it. How the fuck do you get better to beat that? I feel like that's cool to have in short spurts, but I agree with you. The current format where it's a toss-up of percentages upon that day, way more exciting.
The one place that we do have that right now though is the 212. Like who's gonna touch? No one's touching Keon, man. Like there's some great 212 guys out there. Like kudos to these guys, and like the guys who did New York, like Fran who won it, like amazing physique, really good guys.
Cody,
they all look amazing, but like Keon is in his own category. Like there's no one even close to it, right? And that it's just like last year. Like his first win, people were like, "Oh, I could have gone to Sean. I could have done this." Year 2, there was no more conversation of that. It's like this is fucking clear, right? Yes. And like, I wouldn't even say that was him shutting the door and slamming it closed. I think this year is going to be the fucking nail in the coffin that people are like, ah, shit. Like
this year, I feel like he's going to walk off stage and probably think to himself, "Fuck, I'm bored."
Yeah,
or better yet, "Fuck, this is going to get boring."
Yeah,
but it's going to be year over year of like, all right, I'm just going to go collect my check. And it's not ego. It's not anything negative. It's very literally just like, no, this is what I do every year. I go walk on stage, I collect my check.
The ace in the hole for him is that at any time he can go, cool, I'm going to go to the Open.
Oh, for sure.
Because like everybody's talking about that, and like especially after he got put next to Samson at the Pittsburgh guest posing, it's like, yo, like
I didn't see enough of that. I have to go back.
if Keon was to be that weight he's like around 230 pounds right now. If he was that weight with the type of condition that he had at the Olympia this last year, bro, that's a different conversation.
He's 230 right now.
Oh yeah. Dude.
400 fucking pounds.
Insanity. I mean, he's a really close friend of mine. So like, I'll get these videos before he posts them online. So when he posted that one not that long ago and told me he was 230 pounds, I was like, huh? I'm 230 pounds. Like I've lost so much weight in the last number of years, but like, how are we the same weight?
I have to go eat so much more food.
Yeah. I just quit. But dude, I think this is an awesome conversation, man. I really appreciate you coming on and like chatting through some of that stuff. And I think these conversations are for whoever is still listening this long into this are very, very important, you know. And like, I think people are starting to realize like more of what's the bullshit and what's not, but we can always wade through that bullshit more. But
I think it's stuff like it's podcasts like this and posts that you and I tend to make where it's like, no, we're just going to be real about this. We're going to be honest about it. It might not be glamorous. It might not be polarizing. And yeah, we're probably going to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, 100%, man. But yeah, plug your coaching, plug whatever you want to, man. And then we'll sign off from here.
All right. Well, Pivotal Health and Aesthetics. That's what I got over here. My beautiful wife and I, we run that and we are growing strong. We coach a lot of lifestyle folks and we're just really on the side of I coach real fucking people. So that's really what I got. And for the rest of the year, we got bodybuilding this upcoming weekend for the wife. And then I'll be stepping on stage this summer. So
awesome, man. And in your personal Instagram is classic_Kovacs, right?
That's it. Classic with a K.
Classic with a K. That's why I always want to spell Connor with a K.
See, that's incorrect.
I know.
You do not pass go. You do not collect under $200.
I know. You got me all fucked up, man. I mess that up every time. Like, no, it's a C. But
you're good. I won't hold you to it.
anyone still watching, please be sure to subscribe, like, share it with your friends, and tell more people about it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.